front wheels. This was very successful, and they had quite a good reputation as a tractor. At the end of World War I, Ford was starting up his tractor line, and the British government wanted 6,000 tractors in a hurry. We'd been making munitions over here for the last 4 or 5 years, and we couldn't change it over quick enough to start making tractors. So if you want a lot of stuff in a hurry, who do you go to? You go to Henry Ford, because he was in the middle of making 15 million Model T Fords. He was just starting up his tractor line. It was going to be called the Dearborn Tractor. A rival company had got somebody called Ford, and they were going to call their tractors the Ford. So Henry thought, no, not doing that, not having people to give my name. So he called it Fordson, and that's why it's called Fordson Tractors. And he had a Hungarian emigre working for him, and this chap was called Eugene Fox, of all things, and he went to the boss and he said, look, this chap's making these tractors in a U-shaped chassis, works really well, why don't we do it, but we'll do it with a series of castings that you can bolt together. Good idea, said Henry Ford. Did his Jean-Luc Picard moment and said, make it so, and so they did. Years later, Harry Ferguson came up with the idea of a 3-point linkage on the back of a tractor. We've got one of his tractors going around now, the grey painted one. And that linkage on the back, that A-frame with the hydraulic linkage, changed the face of farming throughout the world, because if you look at every single tractor nowadays, it's got a similar device on the back, and some of them now on the front, which makes them tool carriers. Of course, tractors went through the whole gamut of iron wheels, wheels with spuds on, which are not too good. You can take them on the road without an iron band around the outside. But then if you're in hilly country with a smooth iron band around your wheel, it's not going to stop too well on the hills, is it? So eventually, over in America, they thought, well, perhaps we could use rubber tyres. First tyres they tried were from aircraft, because they're soft and squishy. And it worked rather well, but it hadn't got the sort of spud effect that you have with the iron wheels with the spuds on. So they said, what we need is lumping tread on it. So if you look at all these tractor tyres, they've got enormous lumps of tread on the back. In America, they're called cleats. In this country, we call them lugs. And the tyre should be inflated to the point where you get 3 of the lugs on the ground at any one time. So it's sort of a revolving caterpillar track, really. The one coming in actually is a caterpillar track. So it's a board, and it's towing a scraper. I think for levelling out the soil. It's followed by another Ferguson. Now this one obviously has some special use because it's got a sort of spud extension on one side of the wheel, and it's got some very heavy weights on the front wheel. Obviously there's something coming up in the air. I've no idea what they use that for. We've got David Brown tractors in the arena here. David Brown, Aston Martin. Yeah, they're sports cars, but it's Aston Martin DB, and the DB stands for David Brown. Yes, they also made tractors. We had earlier on a traction engine here which used to work for the Corporation of St Albans, and here is the last of their horse-drawn carts, which has been modified for an A-frame tow from behind the tractor. But this was one of the carts that was used, the last one they had at St Albans, one that the council had, being towed today by a Field Marshall tractor, single cylinder, 500cc diesel engine, and there's various ways you start these up. There's a plug in the front here which you undo, and you can put a piece of lighted paper in there, soaked in saltpeter, spin the engine round, and hopefully the thing will start. There was also the idea of putting a cartridge in there, which you hit the end of the thing with a hammer, fires the cartridge, starts the engine up. You have to put the flywheel in the right position for that to happen. So as somebody said, there's different ways of starting them up. You either shoot them or set fire to them. But once those things are going, they'll sit there all day quite happily. If you look on the inside of the near side mudguard, is the world's largest starting handle under there. That's enormous. the end of the Second World War, like the end of the First World War, they needed an awful lot of tractors. Fordson came up with the Ford Major, one coming past now, painted blue. They all were. So if you see a film, like the one about the Enigma machine, you see a tractor standing in the background and one of the sets painted blue. No, they weren't. They were all painted a very drab sort of camouflage colour during the war, so they were less of a target if you were flying overhead. Another Fordson Major here, and you'll notice on the side of the engine there's a flywheel or a pulley, which is meant for driving things like shaft cutters, elevators, all that sort of thing, because obviously whilst you could do that with a traction engine, once the flywheel had disappeared, you need to have some way of driving the machine that was still in use in the farmyard. Of course, the pulley on the tractor is much smaller because you're going around much, much faster. Next one coming along here. Most unusual. This is the Yeoman of England. It's got a V4 engine. You don't see many V-type engines in tractors, but this has certainly got one. And it's got the traditional bit of sacking over the back of the seat. You're out there all weathered. Usually there was just an iron pan seat on a bit of spring, and that was the only comfort, if you could call it that you had. And you'd be sitting out there in all weathers with an old sack over your shoulders and a sack on the seat to give it a little bit of comfort. Not that you got an awful lot of that. Things have changed over the years. Fordson Major diesel going past here, towing a trailer, and this is what you might call a more normal trailer with the wheels halfway along. If we get a Ferguson trailer in here, you'll find the wheels are right at the back. We'll talk about that in a minute. Here we have a road crop tractor with the two wheels at the front quite close together. The idea is if you've got crops that planted in rows, you need to get the wheels between the rows of crops. Well, that's one way of doing it without causing too much trouble. John Deere, here the early one. John Deere worked in a very sticky part of the United States. The soil is very sticky, which is stick to wooden ploughs, cause all sorts of problems. He was down at the wood yard one day and he saw a broken saw, one of the big bad saws. He said, "Can I have that?" Took it home, ground the teeth off and made a section of it into the moulding board on a plough. Once it had shone up with the earth going past it, then the earth didn't stick to it anymore. Well, that was very successful. All his neighbours wanted one. Oh, well, I'll make him one then. So he got plenty of this saw left over, so he made them for his neighbours. And at about the same time, over in the States, there was a chap called John Froelich, who started making tractors at a place called Waterloo, which was why he called the tractor a Waterloo boy. And eventually he sold out to John Deere, and that is why you see so many John Deere tractors nowadays. I was up in Lincolnshire a couple of years back, looked across the field, and there's this big yellow wheel, which is obviously the back end of a John Deere tractor, but there was so much gubbit on the back and the front end